Hello everyone, welcome back to CryptoCache. Thank you so much for joining me here. Hope you're having an amazing day. We're going to take a quick look at Radix, and just before we do, we usually look at Bitcoin, but we're just going to jump right in because Bitcoin's kind of being, I don't know, a bit of a bug. We're looking at about 64,000 as a pretty standard baseline right now. It's kind of just trending between 63 and 65, effectively consolidating from the 10% drop off we had on the 10th recently. So take a look here at Exrd and or Radix. What we can see obviously is that this sticks out to me right away because remember, all my patrons, I like to always make sure to help emphasize the simple fact that you need to make sure that the price is closing above on the one-day candlestick of previous resistance, right? So if you take a look here, right here, at about 52 cents, you can see that the price from yesterday's candlestick closed above the previous all-time high. It's extremely important that you see that. And then obviously what likely happened is it came down, bounced, then kept going up, right? But regardless, that's the main thing I want you to understand here. It's a simple fact that that took place because of the one-day candlestick closing above. Right? That's a typical, very standard thing you want to look at and understand because it's really important. So anyways, just kind of throwing that out there. Oh, also too, sorry, if you're new to the channel, not a financial advisor, I love teaching people how to trade better. So hopefully I can help educate you a little bit here today. I have a trading community. Check that out in your own time, of course, where I send out signals for every single trade that I take. You can one-click follow. It's a really cool situation. So check that out. I would recommend before month end, just based on the fact that you can lock in a lower rate. Prices will be increasing next month, and we're going to probably hit a cap about 200 eventually soon. That being said, looking at Radix, let's go ahead and just take a look at the normal indicators and work our way down. 50-day sub moving average is right where it should be. That's pretty standard. But if you look at this though, RSI, fantastic. You can see how it bounced right off of 70. That's at support level, which is very reflective of about 37 cents as well on the chart. So if you see 37 cents, it bounced twice right there. It's essentially the same line. Oftentimes there's a correlation between the RSI support level and a major support level on the chart. So just bear that in mind. Those two things essentially we're communicating. It's like, no, price is not going to come down below 37 cents. We want to keep moving upwards. We can also see a pretty obvious, ascending wedge pattern here as well, right? Just before the breakout, you can kind of see that it was actually working itself into a little wedge because it didn't come down much lower here and just kept on increasing. It's also another bullish quality. Taking a look at the 4-hour chart, let's go ahead and see kind of what's going on here. You can see it's getting rejected at about 63 cents. So obviously it's trying to break out, but it hasn't yet. So we'll see if there's any other indications kind of helping us out there. But one thing I can tell you is we've got strong bullish qualities here with the 50-day sub moving average working its way up. That usually works as a nice support level. Furthermore, we're breaking 70 on the RSI. That to me is a bit of an overextension. It's not terrible, don't get wrong, but 4-hour RSI breakthroughs can effectively lead to retracements. So just keep that in the forefront of your mind. It could very well happen. Another thing to note too is we had a MACD convergence right here in between, right around what? In between 9 and 13. So let's go ahead and mark that really quick, just so you can kind of see what that looks like. Because I like to see if there's a correlation between the Ichimoku cloud and the actual MACD convergence of the 4-hour chart. But generally speaking, everything we see here so far is bullish, right? Even though the RSI is a little bit overextended on the 4-hour chart, it's not terrible. But I would recommend, maybe being patient here and seeing what happens with this resistance level at about 63 cents, just based on the simple fact that if it were to break above and not close above on the one-day candlestick, again, that's another consideration to remember, because there's a good chance if the one-day candlestick closes at that level of 63 cents, then it'll possibly and more likely come back down, right? It's because it's experienced a lot of growth in the recent past here. So just in what I would say one trading day, you've seen almost about 45% growth. It's quite a lot. So we got to understand that that is a bit on the higher side, and the likelihood of it continuing past this point is fairly low. In fact, let's also look at TD sequential and see where we're at. We're at a 7 right now. So hypothetically, we have 2 more candlesticks worth of bullish momentum, possibly 2 to 6 more candlesticks. So yes, it could very well break this level and stay above, but we want to make sure that it stays above and holds above, right? Get that confirmation before you add to your position. Again, if you're a gambling type, maybe a different story, but I prefer not to gamble. I like to go with more certainty. And I've noticed that waiting for confirmation is a very healthy thing to do, especially in trading. It can take some patience and it can be difficult. Honestly, it's not easy. It's an acquired taste. So anyway, let's look at the 1-hour chart and call it a day here. So taking a look at the 1 hour, we can see that we did reach a state of exhaustion here before. It went right past a 9, went 4 candlesticks past a 9, then went to a consolidation state. So this is good. This is very healthy. I like this. That basically does mean this next leg up that it's trying to make could very well work out, right? In other words, this consolidation period is good. It allows us to have that staircase pattern that I love to see in a nice traditional, bull run, okay? And to keep in mind too, it consolidated a lot during this period, right? So it slowly worked itself into a wedge. So that being said, I mean, the fact that it's up here in about 45% doesn't necessarily mean it can't continue, because it's had plenty of time to kind of recover, and the bears have been able to take their profits and the bulls are in control now, right? So that's essentially what we're looking at. So again, more bullish qualities than bearish qualities here. I wouldn't be surprised if the price just continues to increase. Again, I personally would rather be patient on this, but I totally understand if you want to just kind of jump in and add to your position. Just make sure you adjust your stop loss and put your stop loss close to about 51 cents to be on the safe side, just in case the price comes crashing back down. But based on its history here so far, it doesn't look like it's going to do that. It's got a lot of good qualities here that really tell me that there's a decent chance of a continuation of the upside here. What else we're going to look at? There was one more thing. It's the Ichimoku cloud. Let's go ahead and see. This is just kind of just driving it home. Do you see here this little squiggly line that I drew? I drew that on the 4-hour chart, right where the MACD converged, right? So when you see a MACD convergence on the 4-hour chart where the 12 intersects with the 26 in an upward fashion, that's a very, very awesome sign. That's basically a long-term swing trade potential. So for the most part, what's happening is it's just indicating that the bears are losing control and the bulls are taking control. And that's what happened right there. So I marked that right there on this line. But coincidentally, the price broke above the cloud just before that, right? So right here, the price officially broke above the cloud. So when you see a break above the cloud, as well as the MACD conversions, that's kind of like a double rainbow in my personal opinion. It's two really good things happening at one time. And it's more often than not, like I'd say it's 80–90% probability the price will continue higher. How much higher, of course, it's hard to say. Moving into a resistance level like this, it could have gotten stopped out, but it didn't. It pushed right straight through because it had tested it previously as well, right? So again, it had a lot of good momentum, a lot of good push, and it's definitely doing that. But bear in mind too, this little consolidation phase is just enough to allow for the price to continue upwards. So I would not be surprised if the price just continues to increase. And let's go ahead and take a look at the big picture and what could possibly happen here for Radix. Just a best case scenario. In fact, let's go ahead and go with, let's look at it this way here. So in the past, let's just say it's basically 14 days. So right here on the 1st of November, the price started to ramp up for Radix. So in 14 days, we've seen a pretty significant increase, right? That is about 435%. My goodness. Okay. So that being said, we've got that much growth in that amount of time. How much higher can we go? Right? Well, hypothetically, we could go the same distance in another 14 days. That is potential. Now, will that happen? I personally think it's less likely, because as you get higher in price, the likelihood of it continuing much higher is less, if that makes sense. In other words, as you can tell, this amount of growth right here is only 81% versus 400 and some odd percent from before, because it's obviously based on the starting point, right? But that being said, 14 days potential, we do have, I would say by month end, somewhere in the range of $1.15. That is a likelihood. Is it a strong likelihood? In my personal opinion, I wouldn't say yes, but I'm more conservative, right? I prefer to be a bit on the safer side. So, again, take that how you will. I would rather say that by year end, we're going to see that kind of price. But regardless of the fact, that's almost, again, if you go all the way to the top here, because that's best case scenario about $1.30, it's effectively a 2x from here, right? So 2x in 2 months, that's still very, very good, okay? No matter how you look at it. So again, all good things here for Radix. I do feel like the long-term potential is definitely there. It's got good fundamentals too, so definitely do your own research. But I can tell you that, yeah, it's moving, and there's a good chance that it'll continue to move. So I might recommend this as a consideration for a swing trade, where you might not even have a stop loss, or if you do have a stop loss, pretty far away, so to give it enough room to grow, right? If that makes any sense. Because if Bitcoin drops to like 60,000 or 58,000 tomorrow, then this will effectively lose its momentum. In most cases, that's how it works. But again, this isn't exactly following the same patterns as Bitcoin, right? So either way, I hope you found benefit here. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already. Consider joining my Patreon community before month end. And obviously, we'll look forward to getting to know you better. I hope you have a great rest of your day. We'll see you in the next one. Take care.